Hey everyone, my name is Jason. I'm a community manager at Coffee Stain Studios, and today we're talking about new blueprint improvements that are coming to Satisfactory in Update 8. Now, before we get into the new stuff that's coming, the stuff that is coming, let's talk about some things that aren't coming, because according to this video here, according to the views on that, you guys love it when I talk about things that aren't coming to Satisfactory. So let's get those out of the way, and then we'll talk about the new stuff. So the first thing that isn't going to be coming in Update 8 is that we've gotten a lot of feedback from people who want the blueprint designer to be bigger, and we aren't changing that in Update 8. Okay, so we're going to keep that the same. And another thing that isn't coming in Update 8 is another thing that we've gotten a lot of feedback about, which is issues with snapping the blueprint when building it. We're not actually releasing any fixes for that in Update 8. And the reason for that, though, is because we actually have already released a bunch of fixes throughout Update 7's, this Update 7 period. So most of those issues should have been addressed at this stage, live right now for you to play with. But both of these issues together, blueprint sizes, plus any snapping issues, what we would really like is more feedback from you guys about this after Update 8 comes out, because we're going to talk about some other features that are going to come to the blueprint system now. And so what we would like is your feedback on the dimensions of the blueprint, snapping, etc., the entire experience after you get this entire package of new stuff, right? So what we're probably going to do with the QA site is when it comes to like the snapping stuff, we're probably going to be marking those off as resolved. And then what we would like is your feedback after Update 8 drops to see, well, is the snapping experience resolved? Are there still issues? That way we can see like, well, what is actually relevant feedback to the current state of blueprints and what isn't. It could be also that like a lot of these quality of life issues will alleviate some of the stresses that people have had with snapping, but also with like the dimensions of the blueprint as well. Okay, so that's why we kind of want to put blueprint feedback on ice. We're happy with what we're putting out for Update 8, and then you guys let us know what you think about that at that stage. Cool. All right, so housekeeping is out of the way. Let's move on to the new stuff that's coming to blueprints. The first thing that we're going to talk about is going to be Quick Switch. So Quick Switch is not a new feature to Satisfactory. We've had it with buildables forever. It's the thing where you can just tap E to toggle through different buildables within a category, or you can hold E and that'll open up like a radial menu where you can choose different conveyor belt speeds or different kinds of foundations or whatever. So this is not a new feature, but we're now bringing that feature to blueprints. So what's going to happen now is that you guys can customize what blueprints you put into subcategories. That was already in the system. And now you can, anything that's within a subcategory will be available via the quick switch system. So if you put a bunch of related things in one subcategory in the Blueprint Designer menu, you can hold E, they'll all be there in the radial menu, or you can tap E and you will cycle through it. This can be really, really useful in certain situations, like if you build a subcategory of structural pieces for a big structure that you're making, like out of foundations, then instead of having a bunch of different things on your hotbar, you can just use the radial menu or tap E to cycle directly to them. That'll clean up some space for your hotbar. Or another thing could be if you're building a larger factory and you've created modules for that larger factory, for pieces of that larger factory, then you can put those all into one subcategory and very, very easily select which ones you need. So I think it's a really, really handy feature, nice quality of life touch. Yeah, I think it's inevitable that blueprints get this feature, and I think it's great that we have it now. So the next three features that I want to talk about address three of the biggest pain points when it comes to Blueprint Designer that we've, from feedback that we've gotten from you guys. And that is building blueprints in the wrong direction, building blueprints in the wrong location, and then having to dismantle the blueprints. That is a pain because you have to go and manually select everything and then you rebuild. Oh, it's the wrong orientation. It's one like pixel off or something, and then you have to go and dismantle all it again. So these next three features address all these things. The first thing is going to be a directional arrow. Let's go, an arrow. It's just an arrow, but this makes all the difference. So now when you're building your blueprints, there will be a little white arrow which will point in the forward direction of the blueprint, so you can ensure that the orientation you have of your blueprint is correct before building. Now, what is forward in this case is considered to be in the direction of the little console that you see on the Blueprint Designer. Okay, so that is the forward direction. So now you know that. You can think about that when you're designing your blueprints. And hopefully this will reduce the occurrence of you building in the wrong direction. Right? Hopefully that helps. The next feature we have to tackle the next problem, which is building in the wrong location, is this brand new feature, which I absolutely love. I love this feature, and this is called Nudge Mode. So what Nudge Mode is first of all, it's two things. It's the ability to lock a hologram in place. You can now press H to lock your blueprint hologram in place, and then you can walk around it, and you can check, is this positioned correctly or not? right, before building. And if you're happy with it, you click again and then it builds. So when in nudge mode, blueprint building becomes a 2-click process. But if not in nudge mode, it's just the normal 1-click process. So nothing changes in the default case. Now, what happens if you lock your hologram and it's not quite in the right place? Well, that's where the nudge comes in, right? You can now use, by default, the arrow keys to nudge your blueprint in 1 meter increments along the horizontal plane, so you can align things perfectly to where you want. So now not only do you have an arrow to make sure you're facing it the right way, you have the ability to nudge it to wherever it needs to be, which I think is super, super good, super helpful. Now, not only that, not only is nudge mode here for blueprints, it's actually being applied across the board. You can now use nudge mode for anything, and this makes a lot of sense because not only can blueprints be large and unwieldy and hard to aim, but we have some buildings that are large and unwieldy and hard to aim and hard to position, like the particle accelerator. That thing's huge, or refineries, right? So like these kind of buildings are hard to position perfectly, but now the fact that you can lock the hologram with H, enter nudge mode, and reposition things is super handy across the board with any buildable at all. One little caveat with nudge mode is that there is a maximum distance that you can nudge things. So you can nudge them in 1 meter increments up to 8 meters, or up to half the width of the buildable that you're working with, whichever is bigger. So if you're working with really, really, really big buildings, you can actually nudge a little further, and we found that that works fairly well. So I'm really excited to tell you about this. I think you guys are gonna love nudge mode. Super excited to see your feedback. I can't wait to see your reactions in the comments below, but also when people get to play with it. I think it's gonna be cool. Okay, so we've handled building in the wrong orientation, building in the wrong spot, but what happens if you build the wrong thing? Or if you still end up building in the wrong orientation, or you still build in the wrong spot? You know, it could still happen. It's still really, really painful to dismantle blueprints by highlighting. It's so tedious. So we've actually created a blueprint dismantle mode. I think you guys are gonna be really excited to hear that this feature is now here. It was so relieving when I heard about it, and then when I used it, it was just super, super good as well. Felt really great. So I'm so glad that this feature is here. Blueprint dismantle mode is exactly what you think it is. So now when you enter dismantle mode by pressing F, that's the default key, you can now press R to toggle what dismantle mode you want. Either it's normal dismantle mode, where you just highlight one thing at a time, or you can go into blueprint dismantle mode, where when you select one building that was part of a blueprint, it then also selects everything that was part of that blueprint. And this is going to be super helpful because it makes tearing down blueprints that you've built super quick, and then you can reposition things and you can prototype without having to sit there and manually destroy everything. It's super tedious. So this feature makes that so much quicker. And so you might be wondering, if you build a blueprint and then you dismantle like one of the buildings in that blueprint, it's technically no longer the same blueprint. What happens in dismantle mode in those cases? Dismantle mode remembers what buildings were part of the blueprint. So even if you tear apart small parts of the blueprint, you can still mass dismantle the remaining elements of that blueprint without any issue. Not only that, if you build other pieces within that blueprint, say part of your blueprint has 2 different buildings, and then you manually go in and connect them with the conveyor belt later, blueprint dismantle mode will still select the original 2 buildings, you'll dismantle them, and then the remaining conveyor belt will just stay floating there, and then you have to go and manually dismantle those things. So it's very, very straightforward, very easy to use, and I think another just godsend of a feature, honestly. I think you guys are really gonna appreciate blueprint dismantle mode as well. So those are the new features that are coming in update 8 for the blueprint system. I would love to hear what you guys think about it, because I was really excited about when I heard these features, and then I was really excited when I played with these features. It's super great. The team has done an amazing job. So I would love to hear what you guys think. Put it in the comments below. Let me know. And yeah, I'll catch you guys next time on another video. So have a lovely weekend, everyone. Take care. Bye. Put them in the comments below, because 1, I want to hear it. Also, it's good for YouTube algorithm. All right. So feed both of us. Stupid. Let me redo the outro again. I'm getting fucking loopy. I'm so tired. Okay.